We all want to live a good life. Of course, what constitutes a good life is it's subjective. This explains why some people in developing countries look at developed countries and, well, they do whatever it takes to get to these developed countries, hoping that somehow their life will change. But what is it about development that makes it elusive in some countries? Well, in this video, we're going to talk about 5 things that you need to consider during the community development process. If you're new here, welcome to Zerite Network. I'm Moses, and in this channel, we are all about constant learning, which is why you need to subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified each time we put a new video, be it in business, finance, law, development. We're all about learning, okay? Now let's talk about the community development process. When you talk about developing countries, okay? A quick internet search will tell you that this is a country with a less developed industrial base and low human development index relative to other countries. So before you get all emotional and start saying, no, that is not the right definition, well, it is true, okay? Even the United Nations themselves will admit that it has no established convention for the designation of developed and developing countries or areas. The designation developed and developing are intended for statistical convenience and do not necessarily express a judgment about the stage reached by a particular country or area in the development process. Of course, that is not the point of this video. In this video, you're interested in things that you should be factoring in. So the first thing you need to know when you're talking about development, okay, when you're trying to, when you're working with your communities or when you're trying to make policies regarding development in your country or, whatever position you hold in your organization. Number 1, community development should be seen as a holistic approach to community needs. So in order to understand holistic, okay, look at something like poverty. And I'm talking about poverty in the absolute sense because you also have poverty in the relative sense where your friend has a better iPhone than yours, okay? But when you talk about poverty in the absolute sense, we can only conclude that the poor are poor because they are poor, okay? Like people are poor because they are poor. And this is what I mean by that. An individual has dimensions, okay? This could be physical, social, spiritual, economic, all of that stuff. A person who cannot manage to take care of their basic needs, okay? Food, clothing, shelter, is less likely to be productive enough to think of good roads and investment in real estate. So it's basically a cluster of disadvantages, okay? When you're talking about those kind of situations. And that is the reason why most people will assume that when they're trapped in that cluster of disadvantages, they'll assume that somebody else is going to show up and so help them sort their problems. In this case, they kind of pin their hope on a politician, or they pin their hope on just some leader, okay? The truth is that they won't. The politician won't solve your problem. At best, all they can do is create policies that get communities to solve their own problems because only the people in the community know what they are truly in need of. So if you're going to talk about solving community problems, if you're going to talk about bringing change in your community, you have to start by understanding that the entire thing has to be holistic, okay? It is a holistic process. It's not one of those situations where you say, we build a business and therefore that community has to continue. What about other dimensions? Now, number 2, community development should be seen as a process and not just an activity. So we're talking about things like access to water, connections to power grid, availability of medical facilities. These things only work as a result of, people choosing to prioritize some things over others. So the entire thing is a process. Building a railway network and other infrastructure is not going to last long, okay? It won't even mean much if the beneficiaries don't care about the process and they only care about the results. This is one of the reasons why African countries end up with billions of dollars in debt to countries like, China. Not that there is anything wrong with a country having a debt, because, it's all about good debt and bad debt. But the problem with most of these developing countries in Africa is that you end up finding that the corrupt officials, okay, the politicians, the so-called government officials, these people don't really care about the debt. They're more interested in increasing their salaries and their allowances. That seems to be the only thing that they spend more time debating in parliaments, okay? Now, regarding that debt, what happens to it? Well, who cares? No one is holding them accountable. As long as you sell the public something that is photogenic, they can take pictures about, and you give them the idea that that has something to do with the vision that you have as a government. See, that's the problem. That's the problem that occurs if you don't look at development as a process and you just look at it in terms of an activity, or we look at it in terms of results. Nice road, we are done. Anyway, number 3, community workers should know that empowerment comes from widespread community influence, participation, and education. It is simple. The citizens must pursue their own development agenda. It's that simple. Citizens' involvement in determining community priority is the foundation of addressing development and change strategies. So things like entrepreneurship, investment, cleaning your neighborhood. No one who's holding a public office is actually waking up in the morning or going late at night to bed thinking about how they're going to do that for you. I mean, think about it. When you're in your house, sitting there looking at your kids, or sitting there thinking about your parents, or if you're single, sitting there doing whatever it is that you do when you're single. See, that is what the other person is also thinking. It's not like if the politician is in the house and their children are playing there and they're thinking, wait, what am I going to do for this person who's watching, you watching the video? They don't really think about that, okay? I mean, most of them are not. So at the end of the day, look, as I said, it starts with you. Now, number 4, development plans must ensure environmental stewardship. And number 5, development results must lead to sustainability. You see, sustainability is everything in development. That is why we have a problem each time you show up and start selling people free ideas. Free stuff. See, the idea of selling people free stuff doesn't really result into development, although it will get you voted in, okay? But the question is, who's going to pay for it? When you talk about sustainability, you're talking about meeting the current needs without compromising your capability, your position to meet your future needs, or without compromising the people in the future, their position to meet their needs as well. So sustainability kind of revolves around 3 things. There is economic growth, there is solving the social problems, and then there is also environmental stewardship. You're going to do a whole video on that, which is a reason for you to subscribe anyway. Now, those are 5 things that you need to factor in when you're talking about development. Okay, if there is any question, do let me know. I'm Moses from Zerite Network, and I'll see you in the next video.